This game has been going on for over 100 years. And the nature of the game, I don't care who you are, you're not going to change it. That is our nature. Pitch come through, you come out of the box, you go back in it. But you throw a pitch, I'm going to stay there until the pitcher ready and just go back at it. I don't know about that.
Big Papi will always be heard. Hey, there's nothing better than opening up a spring training baseball season with whiners, complainers, new rules, time clocks, and all this without a good baseball movie to take us into a time when snow will not dominate the American landscape. All right, step up, dig in, let's take some swings. The man who invented the concept of commentary and insight on sports business from the Windy City, the sports professor, Rick Horrow. How are you, Professor?
Cold. It's 4 degrees out here. So you're into punditry now, metaphoricalism, meteorology. 2 of those are words.
Why not?
How are you?
No, that's okay. I liked punditry. It worked for me. It was really good.
Good.
Let's start out with I want to get to baseball and what Ortiz was talking about, but let's get to the late-breaking news here today. The Delaware Attorney General has says that he will not charge NASCAR driver Kurt Busch. They've been investigating him on some abuse charges here. I mean, it seems to me as they might have knee-jerked a little here. Did they knee-jerk? Does Busch have any recourse here? Because he wasn't found guilty of anything, and now he's still on suspension for something that they find no reason to charge him for.
Well, you're darned if you do and darned if you don't, obviously, because NASCAR followed the justice system and took its cues for the suspension. I now assume that there is an opportunity for NASCAR then to evaluate whether there is enough evidence for conduct detrimental, but not enough evidence to charge in a criminal court.
Do they have to snap his suspension, though, pretty quick here, seeing as the AGs found no charges?
Well, I think they'll evaluate a suspension quickly because NASCAR does make quick decisions. It's not a large corporation. It's large, but it's a singular decision-making body, and I think they'll move that pretty quickly. But I think it just speaks to the larger issue of leagues can't be in a position of being judge, jury, executioner. They've got to be in a position of following the justice system wherever that takes them, and it's a message for all sports.
All right, let's go and then turn to Major League Baseball. As you heard, David Ortiz is not happy with the new rules, all dealing with time clocks here. But now we've got 2 things here. We've got baseball still experimenting with the time clocks. Batters got to get in the batter's box. They got to go to work right away. Pitchers got to pitch. But now Rob Manfred's talking about re-shortening, I guess, the season back to 154 games. That actually doesn't sound like a bad idea, even to some baseball purists.
Well, there are a lot of dynamics going on here. First of all, now David Ortiz is now the ambassador for the length of the game. Joe Madden, I'm here in Chicago, he has an interesting perspective on it. He's saying, I don't care if it's 7 hours and 48 minutes. We just got to win more than we lose, which is an interesting manager's perspective, the blinders on. And these rules, Ortiz says, are favoring pitchers. Tony Clark, the head of the Players Association, says you got to bargain for them. There are other ways to deal with this. When tweaking happens, it means they'll resolve and settle on the right way to make the game shorter. Maybe not the 2.5 hours you and I remember in 1981, but certainly not the 3 hours and 2 minutes it is today. And then as shortening the season is concerned, you may not remember this, but I remember in the early 60s when we played 154 games and 160. And the
wow,
the
you're old.
I am old, and I admit I'm old. But the bottom line of all of this is what happens to the 8 games of revenue now today. In a lot of these cities, it's paltry attendance, and it doesn't matter those regular season games, but it's all about television overlapping. Does the rights fee make up for it because it's more competitive? This is just a trial balloon floated by Rob Manfred. And, by the way, what do we do with the records? Before the early 60s, a home run record was 164 games. We've got so many records that are tarnished with the dreaded steroids asterisk anyway that I'm not sure that a second asterisk fits on the page.
45 seconds, no asterisk here in the SEC West. College football coaches there getting $4 million a season. Everybody kind of goes, wow, $4 million. But in the basic revenue stream, that's not really a whole lot of money, is it?
Well, especially since you realize these big schools, Florida, Alabama, Auburn, Georgia, all of them make over $120, $130 million in football-related revenue. So if you put it in the context of a CEO, COO who is making $4 million and causes the company to make $130, it's not a bad trade-off. By the way, if I'm you and I see the $4 million a year for the coaches, I try to be a head coach of an SEC football team, Ed Berliner. There's money at the end of this rainbow.
Yeah, don't worry about that, okay? I just play one on TV from time to time. They don't want to do that.
Yeah, clearly.
Although
Clearly.
I imagine that you would be the commissioner, of course, the sports professor.
All things to all people. That's my mantra.
Yeah, that's it. And all paychecks to all paychecks. The SEC, they got it, and everybody will say, pay them whatever as long as we win. Everybody will be happy. You can be warm sometime soon. You can come back to South Florida anytime you'd like, my friend.
Plan on it.
You got it. All right, Rick Horrow, thanks so much for joining us. All right, coming up next, America's not doing a good job keeping out the bad illegals, let's face it. But then again, we really don't know where they are once they are here. That's the crux of a story coming out of Los Angeles now. We'll focus on it and more when we continue on MidPoint.